Morning. We started a Sichah yesterday, Parshas Naso. It's the fifth Sichah in Chelik Yud Ches. And as mentioned many times, that this is a project Likkutei Sichos. So I'm just going to read it very quickly inside just again, for those who need a quick chazara, and then we'll continue. I think we're holding Ois Dalet. Okay, Aleph. In their Parsha von Karbonis and Nesim beim zweiten Nasi bringt Rashi Rabbi Yisrael Shormesha Hadarshan as the Pratim in the Karbonis and Nesim zijn Rams in verschiedenen Yonim. So, in regards to the Karbonis that the Nesim, that the princes brought, so Rashi brings from Yisrael Shormesha Hadarshan that the details of the Karbonis and the Nesim, in other words, the Nesim brought karbonis, and they brought different specifics, different materials, different animals, etc. They are marams efashidin in yonim. They allude to different concepts. So he says like this: Karas kesev is gematria tov kof lamed keneged shneiser sh'adam rishon. Karas kesev is gematria 930, which corresponds to the years of Adam Rishon. Mizrach echad kesev. This that they brought a silver sprinkle bowl is Hashem Neach. Corresponds to Neach. Kaf achas, this that they brought one spoon is connected to the Torah, corresponds to the Torah. Parecha, they brought one bull. Ayalechad kebus echad, they brought a bull, a ram, a lamb. Zayin connected the ovis, correspond to the ovis. Seir izim, this that they brought a seir izim. Why did they bring this? Is the chaper al mechiras Yosef, to atone on selling Yosef. Lezev Shloimy Bakar Shnayim connected Moshe and Aaron, corresponds to Moshe and Aaron. Elim atudim kvasim, this that they brought rams, goats, and lambs, that corresponds to Kainim, Leviim, Yisrael, and Chuli. Now, the Rabbi asks, for us bring Rashi Bechlal the Muslim in the Karbonis and Nesim an Indian for Nemes of Drush Beis, sein Pirish is Alderach Hapshat, und Rebia for us hatte da Arog gebracht beim zweiten Nasi und nicht gleich beim ersten Nasi. So the Rabbi asks a very posh Shaila, why is it that Rashi, which we know is Pshuta Shemikra, why would he bring a pshat, which is just homiletics and things which are drushim? It's not straight up pshat that these materials that they brought correspond to these significances. And if they are significant and they are aderech pshat, why is it that Rashi waits dafka by the second shevet to bring up this idea? So the Rebbe says, we spoke about this at length. Azos is their fire was by Rashi Shver for was their posik Chasat Iber by Yad Nasi Bazundre 12 mol the alle Pratikavanas. Rashi's bothered wanted the Torah repeat 12 times all the details that the Karbonis that the Nesim brought. We bald sie haben alle gebracht dieselbe Karbonis wollt gewen genug wenn anhebendig von zweiten Nasi soll der posik sagen bei jeder für die weiter the Nesim as hat gebracht dieselbe Pratikavanas wie der erste Nasi. Now, after the first time that the Torah repeats itself, so the Torah says by Shevet, let's say by Shevet was Yehuda or Reuven, the first Shevet. Then it comes along and the Torah repeats itself again by Shevet Shimon. So Rashi's bothered. Why does it say it again? So Rashi says all the details. It says this because of this, because of that. So the question is, why Taka does it repeat all the details of the Nesim 12 times? Okay, so the Rebbe says, therefore, Rashi Areis, that's what Rashi says, as beim Bringim sein Karben hat jeder Nasi gehad sein besondere Kavanas zu dem Muslim, was seinen Behessen zum Ingen Beteichen von sein Shevet. So Rashi says is because every Nasi had his specific Kavanas when he brought the carbon. In other words, even though, like we explained yesterday, even though it's taka the same carbon, but when that Nasi brought those carbonas, it had a specific carbon. If anybody needs copies, I made, here's copies if you need. Okay. Ovemela is the carbon from Yad Nasi, but carbonas are carbonas, anders wie die carbonas von der anderen Nasim, und therefore, Chazat Iber, der Pasuk, from the Prati carbonas from Yad Nasi, and that's why the Torah repeats the Nasim 12 times and the carbonas 12 times, is because even though it's ostensibly and B'Hashkafa Rishon it looks like it's the same carbon or it's the same idea, but really each Nasi who brought that korban has a specific kavanah, and they had a certain intention and certain remez when they brought the korban. Und das, was Rashi bringt darauf, bloß ein remez von jeder Sug korban, und das darf vereinfacht dem Iberchazim bei alle Shvatim 12 Mon. This that Rashi brings just one time why they brought that korban, or why they brought that item corresponding to that idea, even though it says it 12 times, Nitvi in Medrash, not like the Medrash says, when we get by Yed and Nasi and andere remes for themselves in Suk korban, the Medrash goes in detail and it says that even though the Shvatim brought the same korban, but when they brought that specific korban, it had an allusion to Dafka, their Suga korban. It's the far is because what Yed and Remes was actually bring is an Inyan Klali. So whatever Rashi is telling us, that whatever the Torah alludes to, that's a general concept, which is subdivided into many different pratim. When Yed Nasi had gehat in dem Remes Klali an andere Kavana pratis, was is zugepass zu sein Shevet, wie erklärt dort Barucha, like the Rebbe says, explained this Barucha, that every single Nasi has something which is specific to his korban. Okay. Base. We're just chazing quickly what we did yesterday. Fine. Base. We have to understand. So that I'm moving as the Muslim from the alle Pratia korban von jeder Nasi are nicht stammt zusammenstell von verschiedenen Yom Nors is an Pratim von eine Kudeklalos. We know that all the allusions, all the namazim, and of all the details of the korban from every Nasi is not just putting things together, it's details of one general concept. Of the Megifin Takin Medrash, as ein Eider erhebt uns mefarish sein, the Muslim pratim from the Karbonis from the Nasi, is a makim in the Kuduklalis from the Muslim and the Nasi, Nachshin, Ased, Amluch, and the Sanal, Shematera, and Azebaiter. And as you see that the Medrash says before it goes into the specifics of every Nasi, it says in general, Nachshin is the idea of Malucha, the Sanal is the idea of Teda. In the Muslim, was Rashi brings Zet Zichnit L'chaira, as a zone zayin pratim from in klal. This the Rashi brings and tells you that the karas kesef has to do with teda or all these details. L'chera, what does it have to do with the klal? Now in Medrash the idea as the ala zachem was the nisim hamakar givan zana kineged adir shayim adam adishim ad mission kineged mitzvah shenistavu. In the Medrash he brings an opinion that all the karbonas that the Yidden brought corresponded to the generations from Adam Rishon till the Mishkan, and corresponding to all the mitzvahs that they were commanded. Is where dort der noch ausgeteilt as karas kesef is meramas of Adam Rishon mizrak ifneichen chuli. Now, volt man nachher geken sagen, as in dem besteht euch die nikude klalis in dem Muslim was Rashi bringt, und wie is der noch mefaret die Deres Adam Rishon of the days of Nech with the days of Shivim Umais, the obvious yes of Meshav Aaron and mitzvah shenestavu Torah says that Dibros Taryag mitzvah Torah Nevim Ksuvim. So you could say that perhaps it's hinting the general nekudas, and this is what Rashi is alluding to when it says the Adam and his generations, Neach. So it's also general ideas. The Rebbe says is Nachal's Kash Aleph. First of all, the kasha from the Mario was Far Sheichos Haben Shneis Adam Marishin V'Neach Inyan Chanukah Samizbeach HaMishkan. Here we're talking about how the Nisim inaugurated the Mizbeach and the Mishkan, and they brought different karbonas. So what's the connection between that they brought karbonas corresponding to the years of Adam Marishin or Neach? Based on the karbonas mit the Muslim gedav sein Leuten sit out there. So based on this, it should have been in chronological order. For us, it's been mafsik zwischen die karbonas kineged Neach and Avram mit kaf achas kineged ater chuli was is shaykh zum zman from Meshav Aaron. So the second question is that we should have went in chronological order. Why are you saying that the karbonas first goes to Neach and Avram, and then you stop and say kaf achas is kineged Teda, which is Shaykh in the time of Moshe and Aaron, so you should go in chronological order. Okay, Gimel, we have to understand. Aleph, if Kav Achas Asar Zahav, this that the Torah says that the Yidden brought one spoon weighing 10 gold shekels, is Rashi Mefarish. Rashi explains Kav Achas, they brought one spoon, Keneged HaTorah Shenitim Yad Shel Kadosh Baruch Hu. Like we said yesterday, the kaf also means the hand, so the kaf goes on the Torah, which Hashem gave the Torah with his hand. Asar Zav, why 10 gold? Kineged Asar Dibris corresponding to the 10 Asar Dibris. If Elim Atudim Kvasim Zokter Kineged Torah Nevim Ksuvim, then Rashi says that these animals go on Torah Nevim Ksuvim. Shalish Chamishis, it says 3 times Chamish is Keneged Chamisha Chumshin is corresponding to the 5 Torah, books of Torah. The Chamish Hadibres and corresponding to the 5 says 3 times 5. So the first one is Keneged the Chamisha Chumshin Torah. The second one is Keneged the Dibres Aksum Maluach Echad of the Chamish, and the second one is corresponding to on the other side of the Luchis, or the other Luach had 5 commandments. So the Rebbe asked for what's darfman haben zwei karbonis and Muslim Torah and azay eich zwei if that's their. So now the question is, you're saying in the beginning that we said Rashi said that kaf achas corresponds to Torah, and then you're saying again that kaf achas asar zav, Rashi says goes on the Torah, asar zav also goes on asar sadibris, and then again elim matudim kvasim you're saying goes on turn vim ksuvim. So the question is, why do I need to have 2 hints or 2 things that are really, Tanakh is Torah. So why do I have to have the hints again? And why do I have to have 2 hints on the same idea of Aser Sedibris? Based from Lashon Rashi, in Zayin Pirish of Elim Atutim Mekvasim, Keneged Kenim Levim, Yisraelim, Keneged Torah Nevim Ksuvim. Now Rashi says, why did the Yidden bring the Elim Atutim Mekvasim? Corresponds to the corresponds to the Kenim, Levim, and the Yisraelim, and just the end of Torah Nevi'im Aksuvim. Mit davar acher keneged Torah chuli, nitvi davar acher keneged Torah chuli oder v'yeshem. Now, if it's a second pirish, Rashi should have said yeshemnim or davar acher. So Rashi doesn't say that. Rashi says that these 3 things, elim atudim ukvasim, correspond to Kenim, Leviim, Yisraelim, and also to correspond to Torah Nevi'im Aksuvim. The Rebbe says it's muchach is understood as does that nitkin tzvei pirushim in them remes from gimel minim. It's not coming on along and telling you it's 2. Or it's 2 pirushim, which are meramis in these 3 ideas. Nor, thus is ein pirush. Really, it's one explanation. The meramis from gimel minim is kail di keinim levim yisraelim tzazam b'ter nevim ksuvim, that the remes that the Eden brought these 3 species correspond to the keinim levim yisraelim together with the ter nevim ksuvim. So the Rebbe says is to more vikan and gimel minim zan keneged zakzach. And how could you have 3 species correspond to 6 things? Okay, this is where we left off yesterday. I just did a chazar because some people weren't here yesterday, and also we started a little late, so just to refresh our memories. Okay, Dalet. Nachdem wie Rashi is mefarish dem remes from the gimel minim elim atudim ukvasim. After Rashi explains what these 3 species, the rams, the goats, and the lamb, what they allude to, is a mevar dem tam was men hot gebrach chamisha davka von jedem min. So Rashi then explains that there were specifically 5 of each species. Each species we brought 5 of them. Shalish chamishiyos keneged chamisha chumshin. V'chomish hadibres kaksuvim aluach echad. V'chomish aksuvim al sheni. So Rashi says that the 3 5s, as we said, correspond to the 5 chumashim, to the 5 commandments also inscribed on the first luach, and the 5 commandments inscribed on the second one. So again, that these 3 species, the rams, the goats, and the lambs, they are meramas. They allude to. We explained what they allude to, and then he clarifies why they were specifically 5. Why, when it came to these 3 species, we brought 5 rams, 5 goats, 5 lambs. So he says like this: the 3 5s, the 3 5s correspond to the 5 chumashim. The 5 commandments refers to the first luach, and the 5 commandments refer to the second luach. So the Rebbe says, that from Hashem you have to understand Aleph. The Rebbe is from Shalish Chamishiyos, had nitkin shaychas to Aleph Friedrich Gimel Minim. The allusion of 3 5s does not relate to all the previous 3 species. But it's einer von sie, only to one of them. Torah is settled of Chamisha Chumshin. The Rebbe explains what that means. That says, as with them bringing the carbonas from the Gimel Minim in a misper from Chamish, is when meramas if nor noch an andere nayin inyan. So bringing carbonas from these 3 species in multiples of 5, this alludes to another new concept, which relates to the number 5. So the Rebbe says, in that movement is not clear. Harvas hat man gedarf haben a besondere remes if dem prat von chamish chumshin chuli. And zugab zum remes der kol esatera from the Gimel Minim. So the Rebbe asks, why is there a need for a separate remes of the details of 5 chumashim besides the allusion of Torah in general and these 3 species? In other words, why could you just say that these 3 species refer to Torah? Why do you need to have another idea that it's 5, which refers to the Chamishi Chumshi Torah. Base from them say there, Rashi is mefarish. Shalish Chamishis, freer Chamisha Chumshin, or the noch Chamish Adibris Chuli is mashma as mit Chamish Adibris Chuli maintain need the Aseres Adibris. In the Luchas Avonim. Now, the Rebbe asks, the order that Rashi explains the 3 5s, in other words, first the 5 Chumashim, and then he says the 5 commandments, that implies that the 5 commandments does not refer to the 10 commandments engraved in the Luchas. Why not? Because we know that the tablets, the luchas, were given to the Yidden before the Yidden got the 5 chumashim. Now, so therefore Rashi should have listed them before the 5 chumashim. The fact that Rashi lists them after the 5 chumashim, or the Aseres Dibros v'zizan and Farshib and Chumash al tatel from the Chamishi Chumshin Teres Shibachsav. Rather, this refers to the 10 commandments as they are recorded in the Chumash as part of the 5 Chumashim, which is in Teres Shibachsav, the written Torah. And the Rebbe says in the brackets, since Kain Stirenit, from them was Rashi Zog Chamishi Chomesh Adibros Aksuvim Aluach Echad v'Chomesh Aksuvim Al Sheni. Now this does not contradict. But Rashi says that the 5 commandments inscribed on the first tablet and the 5 inscribed on the second tablet, why not? While thus was the Aseres Adibros an eingeteilt in 2 Luchas, is das nicht nur a gashmistige Inyan, verschrieben auf 2 besondere Luchas, aber adrabe, das nimmt sich von sehr chaluk in Teichen. Now, the fact, what the Rebbe is saying, it doesn't contradict that we say that the 5 commandments inscribed on one tablet, 5 on the other. Why? Because the division of the 10 commandments on 2 tablets, not only that it's because it's physically separated, that rather it's a result that each luach, each tablet possesses different subject, different teichen. He explains the erste finif di bezayin beikon v'yisay the mitzvahs asay varom loy apanay chuli loy sisa shemavay lekecha zayin seifim von anecha v'alekecha. Now the first 5 commandments are more of mitzvahs asay. They're more positive commandments. Even in the commandment, you shall not have in my presence, and you shall not take the name of Hashem your Hashem. So these are more mitzvahs asay. On zweiten finif dibres and alle mitzvahs leis asay, and the next 5 are mitzvahs of leis asay. Other explains the erste zayin beiger ben adam lamakim. The first 5 of tablets are ben adam between Hashem. On afilu kibbud av ve'im is verbunden mit ben adam lamakim. Even the mitzvah to honor your mother and father also has to do with Hashem. As the Gemara says, right? There's 3 partners into a child. If you remember Razal, Yishva Akosiv Kibbut Avaim, the Kibbut Lekved HaMakim, and the Tzveit Ben Adam LeChavir. So we know that the first Luches is Ben Adam LeMakim, even though the commandment of Kabbalah Savicha Vesimecha is also Ben Adam LeMakim, because Hashem is a Shutif in the childbirth. And the next 5 luchas, that's been Adam Lechavere. So the Rebbe says, Darfim Bashtem, we need to understand now, Vibal Mad Shena Remes. Neat Blois Efter Bechlal, in the Gimel Minim, nor Eich Chamishi Chumshin. Now, since there's already an illusion, not just for the Torah in general, but for the 3 species, but also for the 5 Chumashim, so why do we need, when it comes to the Karbanos, another allusion to the 10 Commandments which are written in the 5 Chumashim?